Yep.
All right. All right, I'd like to call to order the special council meeting of December 4th, 2014. First of all, I'd like to apologize for my voice. May I have a roll call, please, Ms. Arcisi?
Ms. Darrow.
Here.
Mr. Engel.
Here.
Ms. Hannikin.
Here.
Mr. Molnar.
Here.
Ms. Tully. Here.
All right, we have some ordinances to go over tonight on the agenda because of the need of appropriations, starting with ordinance number 111.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
before we do the ordinance, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn into the caucus room to do the financial meeting first.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
You want to set a time limit on that, sir?
No? Because I don't know how long it'll be.
Well, the only problem we have is we said we were going to start a council meeting and some people are here for council meetings, so.
But we also had originally was set for a finance meeting at 6:30. All right, well, it doesn't make sense to me, but whatever everybody wants to do.
Sometimes you have to identify the
Right.
time frame, that's all I'm saying.
Finance meeting was at 7, special meeting was at 6:30. Do we need to do anything special to let the public know that we don't know when we'll be back?
Other than you're coming back out to the special meeting, because you can't adjourn without coming back.
All right, we know
Yeah,
that.
that's it.
But we don't have a time limit, although it would be
Sometimes
nice
it's
of us to have
identified.
said that.
All right.
There was. Oh, for the, no, there was not a roll call for, I'm sorry. There was not a roll call. Ms. Darrow.
Yeah.
Mr. Engel. To go into adjourn. I did not, he asked me if I did a roll call, I did not. Mr. Engel.
Yes.
Ms. Hannikin. Ms. Hannikin.
She's in the other
She's in
room.
there getting,
Ms. Hannikin.
Sylvia.
Mr. Molnar.
Yes.
Ms. Tully.
yes, just have showers out there.
Do you have a nice Thanksgiving?
Oh, absolutely. How's your daughter doing? Pick that school?
No, I think John was, he had sent something to Betsy at some point, like didn't know if they'd been ordered, she's been real vague. Well, they have to go to the council first, and then everybody's gonna get what they got now. Oh, good. So you'll get one. Okay. But he wanted two and a trainer. But will we get the kind that he wants, the one that's like the first, the Red Cross? There's none in the Red Cross. Okay. Red Cross does not write the CPR rules. American Red Cross. And then we say, go down, then they say extra other than American Heart. So there's no such thing as a Red Cross. Sorry? There's no such thing. You would have got out of here quicker than me too. I'll have to talk to him tomorrow. I know his concern was because the staff who uses it, none of them are trained in American. Yeah, but Red Cross teaches American Heart. American Heart sets all the CPR standards. So the basic standards are American Heart, and then Red Cross does like little tweaks where they're allowed it now. So they don't make a Red Cross. He said he was fine, but because that's what we're gonna do. I told him there's no such thing. You're more than welcome to do the research and find it out. There's not. And I even went to the Red Cross page and they recommended this heart monitor, which is American Heart. Good. So it was all.
Hey, did you
I don't have to do that. Take the goddamn money. Just go to Washington D.C. Absolutely. And spend $1,600.
Not for long.
This mic doesn't think work is this. Who did that? Who's been in here working with this?
My project.
Oh, we don't know the projects until.
No, but I mean, you could have 15 roll program, full 82 page roll. So they're not all
We'll start to give them the roads and then he can separate his hub.
Okay, well, that's fine. What do you want to do? Okay, well, well, that's it. Where's the other list?
You mean Exhibit A?
Yeah, yes, that one.
Everybody just sit down.
Some of us we may have to pass.
Can I have some order? All right, let me call the meeting back to order. This is December 4th, 2014 special meeting following a finance meeting. We have some items to be voted on tonight, starting with ordinance number 11, 2014.
Who's gonna be reading?
Well, I've got, I'm listed here, so.
Sylvia.
Okay, that is that the one with Exhibit A?
No, this is the tip.
This is the TIP one? Okay.
Right, let me see.
Okay,
The tip was in
I
there.
think there was an agenda under place sitting there.
yeah, it is, it's sitting here, it's just that the general statement was not ringing a bell. Okay, I'm going to be offering ordinance number 111 for second and third reading. And we have
Is that for the TIF,
It's
right,
for the
Josephine?
TIF.
This
Okay,
is
because
the
it doesn't state that, and I want to make sure.
Yeah, well,
It
that's,
does, right in
Okay.
the title.
The
If
last
you-
line.
Got
The
it?
last line.
authorizing the
Transfer
TIF receipts, it does say
Alright.
that. Okay. I'd like
Second and
to
third
offer
reading.
ordinance number 111, 2014 for its second and third reading, and we have
By title,
by title only.
A second, please.
second,
An ordinance authorizing the appropriations of funds from the unencumbered fund balance to provide for current expenses of the city of Macedonia and authorizing the transfer of the TIF receipts to the financial fund.
And what's your pleasure?
I'd like to offer an amendment to ordinance number 111 to change the TIF receipts amount for both line items. For 250, 250, 5340, it should be modified to say 14,064.48. And for 250, 250, 5342, it says 368,202.52.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 11, 2014 as amended to be passed and posted according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Before we have a roll call, Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt you like that. These are two big numbers. I think that we need to have an explanation for people who may be watching on TV. I know everybody that's in the audience was in the work session. That this is a pass-through, that money that we have collected, and now we're paying it according to the TIF agreement, which is a contract which was entered into several years ago in regard to Summit Point and that development. So this is not money that's coming out of the general fund of the city, it's budget neutral. Is that correct, Mr. Giemert?
It is correct.
Substantially correct?
Yes, Mr. President. That mic doesn't work, so I'm using this one here. I'm not sure the amendment was correct, though. I believe that the Finance Department wants 5,400.
Oh, no, that is, sir. It's the minus. It's the minus. That is the correct number.
The minus should come out of 5340.
The $5,000 is out of the 19, so it leaves it the 14. It was correct. This is what she
Already
prepared.
deducted it?
Yeah.
You got to
she's-
show from and to.
Yeah.
Okay, if you think it reads correctly, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yes, you said it correctly.
With that great assurance, maybe we should go to a second reading.
Yeah, well,
All right.
well, I have verified these numbers with Summit County, and this is a pass-through which we owe to the bank, and we ought to be passing this amount. So we have to go to
Now, roll call, now.
We're just at roll call now. Thanks. Ready? Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Hannigan?
Yes.
Mr. Molnar.
Yes.
Ms. Tully?
Yes.
Next is the ordinance 116, 2014.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance number 116, 2014 for its second reading by title only. And the amendment needs to come in where, Josephine?
I'm just going to read it, please.
Okay.
An ordinance providing for the 2015 annual appropriations.
And I'd like to amend ordinance number 116, 2014 to include an additional $260,000 in line item 401-401-5612.
Sylvia, as part of your amendment, could I ask that you include that 230,000 is for?
Yeah, the 230,000 is for the priority, the first top priority stormwater project, which is to create a retention basin behind Our Lady of Guadalupe Church. And the $30,000 is for an engineering estimate on the repairs that are going to be needed at the Sioux and Crow area due to what appears to be an undermining of the road due to the crossover pipes not functioning correctly.
Thank you, Sylvia.
And which line item was that? I'm sorry.
That's line item 401-401-5612, stormwater repairs.
Moving on to ordinance number
Mayor.
117.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make another amendment, please.
Oh, yes.
I'd like to make an amendment to ordinance 116, 2014, taking the $12,000 in account 101-101-5116 and moving it back into 101-101-5115.
Second.
You have to do a
All in
roll.
favor?
Are we, excuse me, I may be wrong, but I think we have two amendments going at the same time. Or do we have one amendment going on at the same time?
We made two
Well-
amendments, now we're making a third.
They adopted the one made by Sylvia.
Right.
Oh, we did, all right, I'm sorry.
Right.
A senior moment.
Now we have a second
have
amendment.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Roll call.
Was that all three of you?
Is that you should say?
I didn't say a
no?
word.
Oh,
So
And what-
do a roll call, Josephine.
Roll
Ms. Darrow?
no.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Hannigan?
No.
Mr. Molnar.
Yes.
Ms. Tully?
Yes. Before we move on, I have a quick question. Why we moved 260,000 into 5612? We have 140,000 in 5629. Are those one and the same? They're both say stormwater repairs and stormwater projects. Should they be combined, or are they truly
What are you reading?
separate issues, Mr.
What are you reading?
Mr. D?
What I have is 401-401-5612. Where are you reading from?
1-2 says stormwater
Yeah,
repairs,
it's
and 2-9
5629.
says stormwater projects. I'm
That's
asking
right.
Mr. Digatano, are they separate, and if so, what would be identified in
Well,
each?
you're talking about 5612 stormwater repairs, but we used to have money in there in 2014.
but it looks like we're putting all the money together in this 5629.
What I did was try to use the line item we had so that as a separate item, because this is for a specific area project that we've been talking about, we can modify the name of the line item, but I wanted to get the correct line item column.
Do we need to I think we should modify the name of the line item so we know exactly what it is. Do we need to do that by motion, or is that something that can be done by the accounting department later on?
Well, you should do it by motion or later.
We can do it.
Yeah, I
Well-
would agree, because you have two line items that basically
Okay,
lead you
so-
to believe
We
it's
can do
one
it
and the
230,
same.
230.
How would the service department know which PO to write against?
Okay, so Sylvia,
Or
Yes.
can you make a
building
motion
department or the
to
engineer? I mean,
amend so we
it's a
have the
little
title
confusing when I have
correct?
two the
Yes,
same.
okay, we can do. but-
Okay, 230,000, where's that going?
Yeah, well, we'll have to have two separate line items on here, because one's for Our Lady of Guadalupe and one's for Sue.
Well, we could probably just say Lady of Guadalupe and Sue. I think we were smart
All
enough
right,
to keep.
all
But if you
right.
want to do two, I'm happy
Sue
to
and
do
Pro.
that.
Well, I don't want to,
And
anyway.
it's 56.
So let me modify this 5612 to say,
5612.
let me offer an amendment to change the title in 401, 5612 to Stormwater Projects, Our Lady of Guadalupe and Sue.
Ms. Hennigan?
Wait, Sylvia, Josephine wants
Yeah.
you.
On that 5629, it does say stormwater projects, and it's plain.
Yeah, that's,
I understand that. And when you're saying 5612 stormwater projects, Stu, do you just want to keep it repair and say Our Lady of Guadalupe instead of having the
okay,
projects?
it's okay with me.
Okay,
if we
so we'll
wanna
do
call it
OLG and
Sue.
Sue.
Sue Culbert.
And then what is
Sue
50
Engineering, how's that?
Right.
Sue Engineering?
Sue Engineering.
Okay, perfect.
And then what is 5629 used for? Emergencies?
That was earlier request that Mr. Digatano had made for some series of projects.
Well,
that
that's
he
what I'm
was
asking
doing.
There's a
Mr.
number of projects.
Yeah,
And I have various projects. There's,
Okay.
everywhere you look, there's projects. I have Lake Forest, that head wall, that should be repaired for the last 5 years. I mean, there's a lot of projects involved in that 140,000.
So the 140 is enough in the 5629 because we're no longer having
there,
Sue and Guadalupe in that line.
Right.
Okay, and that'll make it clear for everyone who has to write a PO which line to go to. Thank you.
Moving on to ordinance number 17.
do we have to vote on that?
For the modification,
Yes.
Okay,
Ms. Hannigan made the modification for the OLG
we need a
and the,
second.
and we need,
A
Second.
second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now, ordinance 117, 2014.
This is the payroll.
Yes, right. This is I'd like to offer ordinance number 117, 2014, for second reading by title only.
Second? You don't need a second, no, no.
an ordinance establishing the pay range schedule of compensation for the employees of Macedonia effective January 1, 2015.
Is that developed by HR?
Yes.
So they're
There
just,
she has an okay, the final version from 410 today. About 410, we got the final version.
And HR had nothing to do with the law department segment of this,
Well-
which the law department does object to as not being
But they.
appropriate
Well, I
or
thought
what
you were
was
asking
recommended
about
for 2015. by-
So Betsy still
That's
needs to
shocking.
review, right?
Yes,
And since this has to be voted on by next
That's-
Thursday, can we, I don't know when her hours are this week, can we make sure she's able to finish the review
oh yes, absolutely.
at least 40, so we have 48 hours before the meeting? Otherwise, it can't be voted upon.
Well,
What can't be voted on now?
So I want the HR person to bless the dollars and validate that the pay range and schedule of compensation is accurate based on our contracts and on the benefits that have been agreed upon.
Right.
She
And
has the final say if these numbers are accurate or not, because that's her job on that role. So
I'm not objecting to that. She sent me a amended version that she thought of the pay range basic, middle, and max. And I did include that in the draft I sent out today.
Which you
So-
will have to amend.
Well, and I will have to amend for that, but you already have the changes.
Let's do the amendment to what we have right now, and then.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry?
I was just gonna say, then if you have the amendment, let's do it, so at the second reading.
Okay, well, I think Jan was saying that she wanted to see it 48 hours beforehand, and I just got it yesterday.
Okay, all right,
Right.
So I think we just amend it when we get there next week.
okay.
Okay.
That would be reasonable.
Right.
But she already has, is what I'm saying. And Betsy is going to be available to look at that, right? So we
And I
should
would
do
just
that.
refresh your memories at the last work session. Ms. Hannigan did ask her to do the numbers, and she said she would have the numbers, redo those. She did.
Right.
That was discussed during the November 13th work session.
Right. Okay. And she did provide them yesterday, so I haven't changed it. Okay, so that was
You
117.
changed what Betsy had given you?
Yeah, what Betsy had given me.
Right.
The calculation, I replaced the table
Okay.
item with that.
All right. She just, okay.
Okay.
120.
120.
Now, where are we at? We're at
We're moving on to ordinance number 120, 2014.
120, which is the new one with the exhibit.
Yeah, here, you want this?
Yes. Okay, this is, there's a number of changes in here. I think I will just mention what is going on
She
here.
stole it from me. That's all right, don't worry.
You don't have it?
No,
That's
you've
okay.
got my copy now.
Yeah, go
but
on
that's
and use
fine.
it.
All right.
Use it.
Okay. There are some changes that will be needed in the hospitalization areas related to the Borma runout claims. At the end of last year, we had claims that were put into our previous medical provider called Borma. Those claims were honored up to about 75%, is my understanding, of our claims in December. And the rest of those claims have ended up in this year's budget. And they did not pay for 25% of those claims that we made for last December. So we are modifying hospitalization areas. Those are some of the biggest numbers here for police, fire, dispatch, finance, council, et cetera, hospitalization. The items under here, under police communications, were some line items from Windstream. There are some other smaller changes in here. Now, in terms of the 201 changes, street construction and maintenance, these are, again, they are about $10,000 worth of adjustments that were made and that will be made in this year's budget. And the Parks and Rec Fund, there's some fairly small changes except for a pension adjustment that was needed. That adds up to about $2,700. So really, the areas where I think that there was some objection by Rita to even considering this tonight. We should wait till the 11th. Do you want to express that at this point, or?
Well, I just feel that it should have been given to us within 48 hours before this meeting, and it did not. We did not receive this till yesterday. So I'm not in favor of accepting that, and I think it should have been given to us. That this special meeting was called last week, and I think they should have provided us with everything at that time, and then we didn't get the legislation. This piece of legislation till yesterday. It's less than 48 hours. It has to be 48 hours or longer.
I don't remember a rule asked before.
Well, it's a 40-hour reading rule. The council waives the rule. That's what the 48-hour, waiving the 3 reading rule. That's what that is.
So you're asking not to waive the
Yeah,
free
that's-
reading rule?
I
I understand.
Well, these are for bills that are owed.
That's kind of the purpose of the meeting, wasn't it, Mayor,
Yes.
for us to pay the bills that are
Well, but
outstanding?
We also got to know what the bills are.
Yeah.
Can I see?
Here,
this?
oh, sorry.
I
On
think-
November
I think it's the same.
26th at 2:09 PM, we got a copy of the healthcare appropriations, the current bills, the explanations, and the final listing.
I
Was
mean,
this
it-
in the last meeting as well, where it wasn't
We
passed?
do have a
and
meeting
we were
next
aware of
week.
open bills?
We can't wait that long.
All right, let's wait. I mean, this is over $237,000.
Yeah, but you were given everything in plenty of time. This money needs to be paid. That's the problem with doing a light item budget the way we do. It creates this kind of a situation.
Well, if it's a crisis, Mayor, then we probably should have had this on Monday. Morning.
Yeah, on the 26th.
It was received on
Not
the
this-
26th. It
This-
was
this
sent to
particular-
every, it
Well,
was sent by the mayor's office to every council member, as well as Janelle, Josephine, Diana, Desiree, and Betsy.
we didn't get it till the
And
E-packet.
it requested that the ordinance be made based on the attached, and this would be the attachment.
And we got the attachment yesterday. Right?
Yes.
Pardon me?
Yeah, we
We
got,
got the attachment
But
yesterday.
the attachment's
Josephine, when
also
you
in
sent
the
out the
attachment was
e-packet
previewed
yesterday.
on November 26th.
Well, I did not.
So if you're
see
saying you
any
didn't
attachment.
have it, you did. You just waited till you got it in a formal document.
no?
We waited for
So
the
you didn't-
E-packet, which is where we see stuff.
That's your choice.
So let's do second reading.
If we,
Okay.
Mayor, what's the impact if we don't pay
Well,
these
that would be
bills?
first reading, isn't it?
we're in arrears already on some bills, we'll be in arrears more on others.
Okay.
Are we paying any late fees?
Not that I'm aware of.
Or, I would assume Windstream and Verizon are not going to cut.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Okay,
Excuse me, I was asking a question, so I know
Okay.
you were having a side conversation. I assume we're not going to hit any late fees such as Windstream or Verizon won't cut us off. I can't say, I don't work for either one of them.
Yeah, I don't know that it's fair to assume anything with ours. I wouldn't assume anything.
let me offer this. I'm going to do, I'm going to offer 120, 2014, and with only one amendment. So let me do that, and then the vast majority of this will be cleared off. That was what I was going to say, I didn't want to interrupt you.
You're going to what?
I'm gonna
Well, you have to
offer-
agree to, so, yeah.
No, she didn't tell me.
What are you going to do?
I made a
Well-
suggestion to Sylvia to try to move this along.
Yeah.
I know,
And
I'm
so that's
trying
what
to
we're
hear
trying to
what
do.
she's saying. I'm asking the question.
Okay.
First was saying, we aren't going to pay any bills. You three had said, no, let's hold it. We didn't have the attachment. Now you're saying you're going to pay partial or all?
Well, let me just offer it, and then we'll all understand what we're saying, but the vast majority of it will be paid, okay? Let's listen closely to this.
I am listening. If
Okay.
you would speak,
I'm
we
gonna
could move
off-
this along.
Okay, that's what we're trying to do, Jan, so if we could do that.
Well,
it
You
would
guys
be
keep
good.
saying move it along, talk.
Okay, thank you.
Let's go.
I'd like to offer ordinance 120, 2014, and this would be for first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance amending and supplementing the annual appropriations ordinance 26, 2014, excuse me.
Yes, and I'm offering an amendment to ordinance 120, 2014 to delete the following line item, 101, 150, 5430, legal fees, $75,000.
Do we need a second on that, Josephine?
Yeah.
Second?
All in favor?
Can we
Aye.
have discussion, Mayor, on that, please?
Yes.
No,
And
Well,
which
is this-
line item
Who's
is
in
that?
charge of the meeting?
Yes.
Joe, let's,
Is there outstanding bills? Is that what this is for, to cover the outstanding bills that we have
Yes.
currently?
Yes.
When's the last time you got paid?
In October for part of September.
And how
So
much are
there's
you,
some of September, all of October, all of November, which have not been paid. So if I could comment on that, I know that Dave and I have a meeting scheduled tomorrow to discuss it, but
Right.
I think I heard the finance chair that she thinks that the law department has been overpaid and is being overpaid. So I just need to go on record, if I may, Mayor. If council's going to vote in favor of reducing this amount so that we continue not to be paid now for another week, I just need to let everybody know. We are a $21 million budget corporation, a municipal corporation with a $21 million budget. Any corporation with that kind of budget has legal fees far in excess of what you have incurred. The reason being, we've always been fair and reasonable with this community. We've always provided the best possible service and at the lowest possible rate. $128 per hour has been the hourly rate for a number of years. It has not gone up. There is no one that pays that kind of hourly rate to their own lawyers at any time. But we've done that as a courtesy to this community because we've been here doing work for over 25 years. Since October 1st, when council stopped authorizing any more supplemental payments to the law department, the Borma case that you have talked about that we settled earlier in the year was finalized. This involved employee benefits that were not paid by our prior insurance company, but the law department brought about the payment of over $100,000 to our employees for their medical benefits that company was going to walk away from their obligation on. We also coordinated an all-department attack against Norfolk Southern Railroad because of the Ledge Road catastrophe and the potential for life-threatening injuries in that area. We attacked through each department and our coordination, Norfolk Southern Railroad. It is a $34.5 billion company. It has an annual budget of $11 billion. Yet your community of $20 million budget through your law department made them come around and come to the table after we filed a federal lawsuit and resolved the case within 2 weeks to get major renovations done to that bridge, a commitment to replace the bridge with their support, and also to reimburse the city for some of the costs incurred for signage and so on, and to provide weekly, regular investigations to make sure that it stays safe. We've collected water bill problems that were not found by the finance department, water bills that were due from one of the vendors over at the Windmill Golf Course. It wasn't their fault, they just never received those bills. The law department found that and went after it. We've done the review for all of the administrative service agreements for the health care, for compliance with all of the COBRA laws in the state of Ohio. All of this has just been done through legislation during the last few months. We've collected from the insurance company various amounts of money that the bonding companies that were placing trust in our finance department and didn't get that cooperation. We went after them and got reimbursement of funds to this community. We've coordinated and led the acquisition for Route 82 Phase 3. That has been done to improve a 6th lane. It's also going to provide for additional property for the northbound ramp off of South Freeway Drive. This is a mega $1 million project that relies upon your law department to get the properties in order to do that project. We also have to approve all of the contractual and engineering requirements and obligations. We've had to take the ball and file the court cases against people who would not voluntarily sell their property for the agreed upon amounts of money. Those sums have been paid or are due to be paid to the city of Macedonia through grants and federal funding and state funding, and yet we're not being paid to do that work on a daily basis. I have 6 court appearances on this matter next week, and we still haven't been paid for the ones we've made in the last 2-3 months. We have done over 120 pieces of legislation, as you know, just this year. Those dozens of pieces of legislation have been requested from every different department, 120 already this year that the law department has drafted. We've done the contracts and reviewed the contracts for the public defender's office. Council has made the point that the Constitution requires we provide public defenders. The Constitution also requires that we provide prosecution and that we provide law department protection for the communities that we have here. The Finance Department overlooked the reimbursement of $356,000 in relation to those state ramps and so on, and we have found that, and we are now putting everyone in place to try and get that money reimbursed to the city right away. We do the contracts and review the contracts for the core sampling in order to do the road improvements. We do the bids for the advertising for road improvements. We do the approval of the contracts and the legislation for all road improvements. We have daily calls from every department, police, fire, service, and so on a daily basis. If there's accidents in the middle of the night, if there's legal issues in the middle of the night, on weekends, week out, we handle those matters, and we respond immediately to everyone that needs to be. I know some people don't want to hear this, but I have to listen when you talk. I would appreciate if Sylvia and Rita would also listen when I'm talking.
I'm listening.
I'm listening.
We had a
and
service-
could you summarize, sir, because this is going very
I'm
long.
sorry, you're not in charge of the meeting.
Well, I
The
realize
service
if I were...
Mayor, can I
we
have
would
the floor,
stop.
please?
Well,
We've had a rubbish contract that required bids and advertisement for us to go out and get new bids and to look it all over. We've done all of that. Homeowner association issues on all various matters throughout the community through the year, we've been involved in handling that. The water main break and getting $100,000 back from Cleveland Water for the damages on Highland Road and the service department costs. We were responsible for collecting that back with your service department. We review all the maintenance agreements for the service department vehicles, all the tower agreements, all the cell phone agreements for the towers. Each department, police, fire, service, building, recreation, human relations, finance, all rely on the law department on a day-to-day basis. I read erroneous reports in last week's paper, a couple weeks ago, that some of the council members believe that they're not paying because they haven't seen detailed bills. I have an email sending those detailed bills to Sylvia back in August. I've never heard from Sylvia once, not one phone call about those detailed bills. No questions have been asked of me by any member of council. I've recently given more detailed bills and continue to do so through Dave Engel, the president of the council. I've still not received any questions or calls or concerns about that. So I suppose I'll talk about that with the president of the council tomorrow, and I look forward to that. I have committed and done my duty as the law director for this community to keep the citizens protected, to keep the businesses protected, to keep the roads open, to keep the services being provided, to keep the contracts for the services provided. I only ask that the council persons who are opposing and voting to remove this additional appropriation do their duty and fund the law department so that we can continue to do our duty. Thank you, Mayor.
Joe, I thought back in the, I believe it was in the spring or summer, you were gonna start sending all of council the detailed billing. I still haven't gotten the detailed billing, so I assumed that, at that time that you were gonna just start sending us the detailed billing. But
Now you assumed wrong. I sent it to the president of council. He asked my permission to send it to all the council, and I said it's okay.
The last I knew is you didn't want to give detailed billing to certain council members because you felt that they were in cahoots with the Plow Brothers, I believe you said.
And that's true.
And that's not true.
That's 6 or 7 months ago I said that.
That's not fair to make those accusations. I get it in emails. I get it all the time. There are residents of this community, and I've listened to their concerns just like I've listened to other residents in this community, and that's my job as a council member, and I'll continue to do that with every resident that comes to me. So I would like the detailed billing.
I didn't bring that up. I've given the PLA detailed bills to the president of council. You keep repeating something that is no longer true. Yes, in
I
the
would like
beginning,
detailed billing.
before your depositions, I held back on giving you details of our trial strategy in the PLA litigation where he's suing this community and its citizens for over $1 million. Yes, I didn't think details should be given on our trial strategy. But since that time, I have decided to give that information to your president of council. Since August, you have had it, and you've not called me once, and yet you still tell the media that you need detailed bills before you can approve it, so that's just not true.
The depositions in question, what members of this council were deposed?
Sylvia and Rita.
I was.
Those public
And
record.
former Councilman
Yes.
Ken Martin.
Wasn't Mr. Miller opposed to?
Oh,
yes.
I guess Mr. Miller was too, yes.
yeah.
And
I
Mr.
believe
and
that
Mr. Martin.
those depositions are with, copies are with Josephine.
They're public record.
Right,
Public record.
and I'd sent out emails to everybody saying that those documents had been given to me by Mr. Plough, I said I wasn't interested in looking to them, and I was not, but I was going to not be accused of having conversations with Mr. Plaw. He kind of bumped into me on purpose as I was walking out the caucus door, and I immediately, at the last meeting, I immediately came to Mr. Deemert. We had a conversation. Mr. Deemert shaking his head, yes.
You did.
And he said, no, I don't care.
You did the right thing.
Right.
You
And
asked, I
so
looked
they're
at
there. If anybody wants to read them, Josephine has some type of a system, kind of like a library. You check them
I
out,
do.
you check them back, right?
Ms. Hannikin's the only one who's taken anything out.
Right.
She's taken out the discs, and she signed them out, and when they're returned, I'll sign them back in.
Great. So if you want to look at them, they are there.
Can I ask one question? What is the outstanding bill? 75,000, I believe, is what is proposed to take us through the end of the year.
I'm not sure the amount that's outstanding. It's probably close to that now.
Okay.
Yes, it would take care of, and have some left over, I believe, till the end of the year.
I think I offered an amendment that, have we?
You did, but there's still
We're having
discussion.
discussion.
Okay, we're
So
discussing
the
it.
question would be, if we're not going to pay bills, this goes back to my original question. You've amended to remove one bill. Does that person have the right to charge us late fees and/or take us to court because we've decided we don't want to pay them anymore? That would be for,
And who are you
not,
asking?
take yourself out, not you, that's a legal question.
I don't charge late fees, and I have not charged late fees.
Okay.
Okay.
But you have the
I
opportunity.
do have the opportunity to get paid for what services I have rendered, and every lawyer understands that you perform the services, you're entitled to be paid. I've performed the services, and I'm entitled to be paid. I've paid money out of my pocket to pursue these matters on behalf of this $20 million corporation, and I'm being denied reimbursement for those actions.
So the question I ask of my council members who want to remove this, if these services have already been rendered, why are we not paying for services rendered? Which is what we said we would do, is we would pay the bills as they came in. You know, we didn't pay quite a few bills, not just Mr. Deemer's. There was quite a few that are being cared for tonight. What is the difference, and why we don't pay the bill rendered by the law department, but all of a sudden, no, we're going to pay the rest of them? I don't understand the philosophy.
The philosophy was I was trying to find a compromise to get some of these bills paid. And I thought another week would not be so offensive to Mr. Deemer. Apparently it is. I thought that Mr. Deemer and I, or I know Mr. Deemer and I are going to have lunch tomorrow, and we're going to talk like gentlemen. So we're going to try to work to resolve this matter like gentlemen. I thought that a compromise might be appropriate for now. That was the logic.
So we want a PO from the law department before they write anything? Because it's not in the line item?
I wasn't, you asked me why this amendment was proposed. I was the one that leaned over to Sylvia and said, let's try this, see if we can find a little compromise to move along tonight. If that's not what people want to do,
But the
then
compromise
fine.
is saying I don't pay one department, which makes 0 sense to me when I owe the bill for services rendered.
Okay, then we
So
won't.
do they stop rendering services as of tonight and then sue us for damages because we haven't paid our bills? The same as what the rest of them could do. Although now you've said, oh, I'll pay Verizon, I'll pay the wireless, I'll pay the uniforms for the
No, we
fire
haven't said we'll
department.
pay it because we haven't voted on it yet.
It's illogical not to pay bills. Do you pick and choose what bills in your house you're going to pay?
It's illogical,
Or do you pay them
it's
all?
illogical to ask council to appropriate over $250,000 with less than 20 hours notice.
Pardon me?
You heard me. It's
We don't have
illogical to ask
$250,000 in
council.
here.
It's $250,000.
It's over $250,000 in this
This
appropriation.
discussion is just about the motion to amend out.
Right.
the
No, it's
law
about all of them
department,
now.
so-
No, it's
just-
about,
That's just a discussion.
Well, then we should not pay any of them.
Well, there was,
That's-
as
that's-
you
I
stated,
don't want that.
No,
either,
no,
so-
that's
there
what we
was
should
an
do.
email sent on November 26th with all
No,
of this in it.
no, it wasn't. The attachment wasn't here. I got it last
I guess we
night.
pick and choose what we look at now.
Nick?
It's right here, I'm
Show it
looking
to
at
me.
it.
Show me the
November
email.
26th. All your
I-
names are on there. Did it not work that day?
folks.
Well, mine has not been working for a long time.
No,
Right, well, that's
I did
true.
not get anything until yesterday. Our e-packet came.
It's
right here.
I'll find it again.
What?
I was just reading it. You
I
know,
think that,
We did not get
It's
this.
personal, Joe.
I understand that, so let's
It is
just-
not personal.
You have
We
made it
move on,
incredibly
please.
personal.
why are we
since the
not
day you got
paying
in.
for services rendered?
We are going to have a discussion tomorrow between Mr. Deemer and the council president.
we.
You are belaboring this.
No, I'm not
Now,
belaboring it.
Mr.
I owe
Deemer
money.
Mr. Deemer has been paid $197,000. His office has been paid
I'd like to call a
$197,000 this year.
question.
Okay, Twinsburg paid
Point of order
over
is-
400 to
Let's-
500,000 last year. Aurora paid over
Call the
400,000.
question.
Call the
You're
question.
talking Orville in your little paper for 60 grand, which isn't comparable.
Mr. Deemer, I think we need to vote.
What I would
Call
say,
the
Mr.
question.
Deemer, is
Point of
you-
order has been called, so the roll call has to be taken on the amendment to delete the law department appropriation.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Hannigan?
Yes.
Mr. Molnar?
No.
And Ms. Tully?
no.
Now the roll call on the main motion.
She
I'd
has
like-
an offer, she has an offer for adoption.
I'd like to offer ordinance number 120, 2014, to be passed and posted according to law.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Darrow?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Ms. Hannigan?
Yes.
Ms. Tully?
Did she call my name?
Did you call me?
I
No.
said Ms. Tully.
Oh, I thought
No,
you called him.
didn't
You
Nick?
went out of order.
I did go out of order.
Okay,
It was
no.
a test.
I believe in paying all our bills, not select ones. If I did that at my
I
house.
wrote your
wouldn't
name,
be able
I
to go
wrote
home.
the initials
That's
before I
right,
got
no.
to you, sorry.
That's okay.
She voted no.
Yes.
And yours was no, right, correct, Ms. Tully?
No.
Do I have a
It
motion?
It passed.
Pass. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So made.
To adjourn.
Second.
Here's the email that you guys sent.
We didn't get that from her. She sent us an e-packet.
Okay. Jim, enjoy your day off.
Have a good weekend. Yeah.
Everybody got it but us.
Put your names on the
Well, I can't help it.
Yes.
It's on there.
What, yeah, this is,
I wanted to.
okay,
November 26th. Is that
I didn't get it.
Thanksgiving?
I didn't get it. I know I went through everything. I didn't get it.
This was supposed to be 27. I don't remember.
Is that it? Is that okay with you? Just be put it like that? Okay. And yes, the water's in there.
We have to go by what our council legislation. That's what I'm talking about. The legislation is what I'm looking for.
You got a trip
That's not my problem.
Scarves,
Didn't even get that
face
email.
masks.
We didn't open the attachments either. Hey, that's eight, right? What did they say, the 20?
He said the 26th.